What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Perfect Cell, and I am back with another YouTube video. And I'm here to do a video game topic. And well, the subject on this here topic is the type of subject that I will put on my backup channel. Not the video game topic as a whole, but what I'm finna talk about within this here topic would mainly be on my backup channel. Because, well, this topic is about me being a critic, amongst gaming as a whole and what have you. And this is on my 5 video game opinions. And some of these opinions are contrary to popular beliefs. But with no further ado, let's get into the opinions. Many gamers will disagree with this, especially the ones that's been around during the 3rd and 4th generation console era. And how I came to this conclusion, you might ask? Well, I got this conclusion from angry video game nerds who now go by Cinemassacre. Now, to be fair, I don't remember what video he said this on, but he said that the last original gaming console was the Super Nintendo. While many people will say that it's the first PlayStation, it's the last original console. Now, I'm sure if you put this in a polls for what's the original video game console, some people might put the PlayStation, some people might put the Super Nintendo. But I disagree with both of those. I truly believe that it was the Xbox. Because when I think of that something that's original, that's like classic in a sense, I think of, the first of of its kind, the first of that franchise. You feel what I'm saying? I can't really see what's so original about a sequel. So with that being said, I'm definitely putting Super Nintendo right off the list with that, because last I checked, the Super Nintendo was a sequel to the NES, or as many people will call it, the Nintendo. And some people will say that it's the Atari 2600 is the last original console, which, believe it or not, that's a sequel to the Atari Odyssey. But yeah, again, when I think of original, I think of the first product of that manufacturer. Hell, I even show y'all the definition of what original means. It means present or existent from the beginning. Now, obviously, the Xbox and the first PlayStation and the Super Nintendo are not from the first generation of consoles. But when I think of original, I'm talking about the first console from each manufacturer. You feel what I'm saying? Like the PlayStation, that's the first console from Sony, and the Xbox is the first console from Microsoft. And the reason why I say the Xbox is the last original console up to this date, because it's the last of the first, if that makes any sense. Because think about it. The first Xbox came out in 2000, 2001 or so, and the first PlayStation came out in 1996. Now, I know people are going to mention some third-party consoles that came out last year or so, or whatever. I never even heard of those, but I'm solely talking about, consoles that are that's patented and sold a lot, that's a household name. And although the Xbox franchise is part of the later video games, it still came with some classics. You have Halo, Fusion Frenzy, Dead or Alive, and much, much more. See, it's shit like this that make me happy that online gaming is more lucrative these days. Because I'm telling you now, if video games of today did not have an online feature, I would not be playing them. And the reason why I say that is because they put way too much emphasis on the cinematic these days. And it kind of feels like I'm watching a movie rather than playing the game, which in my opinion relieves the game of its value. Now, don't get me wrong. I love cinematics in gaming, especially in the later video games. But I also want to play the game. And sometimes they overdo it with the scenes, which can make the game frustrating at times, in my opinion. I guess this is why I don't really play games like God of War or Destiny, because games like that, it just gives me that vibe that they just overdo the cinematic simply based off of the game's tone. I mean, I haven't played neither of those games before, but it just gives me that feeling, you know?
Yoshi and Mario, two best friends forever. He tells me where to go, Yoshi and Mario.
Well, I think I'm going to gamer hell for uttering these words. But arguably the most iconic video game character is a hater, in my opinion. And I might add, he is quite the scumbag. I mean, he takes all the credit for the success, even though most of it should go to his brother and Yoshi. Not to mention, he kills Yoshi a million times just to get over a ledge. He treats Luigi like shit, even though he saved his life. And then he kills Bowser and take his girl. The same girl that don't even want him. And you know the crazy thing about this whole thing is he already had a girl. It's Pauline. So why you trying to get with Peach? That's Bowser's girl, my dog. Like, he been going through all of these obstacles for a woman that doesn't even want him. That's not even his girl. And she's been making that clear to him for the past 3.5 decades. And I feel for Bowser too, man. If I had a 3-foot Italian try to kill me with an axe and try to push me in the lava, shoot, I'll be setting booby traps all around my neighborhood and my house too, man.
Yoshi left behind, discarded at the goal. Turns out that Mario is an asshole.
Kiss my ass! I'm the biggest hater!
Now, I love old video games, don't get me wrong. But because it's an original installment, or it came out at a time where video games were quote unquote marketable, does not mean it would sell out in today's time. Because at the end of the day, just like the popular games now, those classics did have some flaws. Some of which would make the modern day gamer turn their head in disgust. And the colossal downs of most of these remakes are a huge example of what I mean. And if we being honest right now, I really wish that they stopped making remakes and remasters, because every remake and remaster I see always end up being a flop. I think the only remaster I seen that ended up being a success was Resident Evil. And to be honest, I played the first Mafia remaster because I seen so much heavy criticism on it that I wanted to see how bad it really was. You know, people were saying that, oh, the Mafia remake is some ass. Yeah, honestly, I don't see much of all the flaws of what they're talking about. I guess it's because I haven't played the original Mafia and on the PlayStation 2. You know, I just played the remastered version. But yeah, the only flaws that I seen was pretty much the same flaws in Mafia 2, where the character was pretty much overpowered to the point where it wasn't really much challenge in the game, in my opinion. But I digress. All I'm saying is this: if you want to play some old video games, just use the emulator and keep it moving. That's all I gotta say. Cause you know, there are some people that find old video games awesome. Some people not so much, which leads me to my final opinion. Now, I talked about this on my backup channel, and ironically, it was on my unpopular opinion series. It's not unpopular gaming opinions like this one, but unfortunately, I had to scrape that whole unpopular opinions of video and series on my backup channel because I didn't want certain people to look at it and be like, I ain't trying to deal with that shit. But yeah, any console that has a joystick controller and doesn't have the simple standard controller is not my style. But it's not just that. It's not the reason why I don't want to play games like that. Not the only reason. But I feel like those games back then lacked true commitment to a selling point. No sequels, hardly any spin-offs. Which brought me to understand why video games of that era was in a depression. Cause I heard like in the early to mid 80s, it was like a video game depression or something like that. And also not to mention, and back in those days, if your daddy wasn't a stockbroker, you didn't have a console in your house. You had to go outside and play a video game or whatever. But yeah, it's not just with video games I'm like this with, I won't watch any TV shows that's like older than the 70s. I won't watch movies that's older than the 80s. And some people, they might have a 10-year cutoff. Some even have a 5-year cutoff. Some people won't even play a video game if it doesn't come with an online feature. Some people won't even play a video game if it doesn't come with wireless controllers. Like for the most part, people want something new all the time because video games, music, and all that other stuff, it came a long way and we want to see how far can it go. You feel what I'm saying? But that's all I got for right now. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. This is your boy Perfect Cell, and I'm Ghost. One love.
Sweet Mary J, Mary Kate, and Ashley, two twins rolled up. I think it was a